Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Before we get started, hi everyone, it's Mike here. So it's the first Saturday in a brand new month, which means it's a brand new art challenge over on the Mission Inspiration Facebook group. And March being the start of spring is the inspiration for this month's challenge. So I'll turn over to my overhead camera and show you what, hopefully, I'm going to create. So once again, I will be creating my art journal page in my Circle Mission Inspiration Journal for March. So I've got a brand new page open at a double page spread, and I've printed off the Mission Inspiration challenge brief, but I will put it big on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see the colour combination we've got this month is sky, lemon and peach, and we've got the words for inspiration, which are birds, earth, fresh, bloom and life, and of course it's all about spring. So just put that to one side for now, and I'll show you what paint I've pulled out of my collection. So I've actually got a sky blue from Dina Wakley, and there's also a lemon from Dina Wakley. I didn't realise that until I'd actually gone into my paint collection to see what I had. I haven't got a peach colour, but I have got an orangey kind of cheddary colour, which I think if I mix a little bit of yellow with that and add a little bit of white, mixing a little bit of yellow with a little bit of orange will give me a kind of Caucasian skin tone kind of peachy colour. And then I can add a little bit of white just to lighten it until I'm happy that I've got a kind of peachy, kind of apricot-y kind of colour, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. So those are the four colours that I've got to play with for this art journal page. So looking at the words for inspiration, we've got birds, we've got life, we've got bloom, earth and fresh. So I think I'm going to go for birdies on this one. So what I've done is I've gone through my collection of napkins, and I've pulled out a napkin that was recently sent to me in Happy Mail from the lovely Edwina. So what I've done is I've just cut one of these corners off already, so I've still got those three bits to play with at a later date. Not using it all up, and I've already separated the ply. So those are the two sets of birds that I've got that I'm going to stick down onto my art journal page, and I'm going to do one coming in the top left and one coming in from the bottom right. But I want to paint the page first before I do that, before I stick anything down. So I've got a little pot of water to the side, I've got a couple of paintbrushes. So what I need is just something to protect those pages at that side. So I've got a polypropylene page protector. This is quite a big and cumbersome one, but that'll just protect those pages there, and I can also use it as a little bit of a paint palette. So what I'm going to do is just grab some of that sky blue, just put a dollop down onto the page, get one of those paintbrushes, add a little bit of water first. Just going to moisten the brush up just a tad, and then I'm going to start picking a little bit of the paint up, and then I'm just going to loosely paint over the page. So I've got a wet brush, I haven't gessoed the page, so I'm just going to go straight onto the page, no gesso, and I'm just going to loosely go backwards and forwards. And I'm hoping that the camera's picking it up and it's not too light or too delicate. Backwards and forwards, just picking up a little bit. Just using horizontal brush strokes. So I'm not getting solid block colour. Because I'm putting the paint straight onto the page, it's going straight in. It's soaking straight in. So there's no real room for manoeuvring or moving it about as there would be if I'd added some gesso to the page. So just backwards and forwards. Just watering it down a little bit. And you could use watercolours as well if you wanted to do something like that. Similar. I must have got a bit of glue on that page at the bottom down there because I stained a little bit. But never mind. And I'm just going to keep on going over, just adding on bits of paint until I'm happy with the depth of colour that's been built up. I'm not too worried about that mark on the page. There we go. Just go up and down a little bit. I'm just going to keep on working it in until, like I said, I've built up enough colour that I'm happy. But it is just a personal preference thing. There we go, that'll do. Don't need any more than that, so I'll just get a baby wipe. Just clear off the rest of that paint. And then I'm just going to lightly dry it. And then when that's dry, I'll be back. Okay, so now that that page is pretty much dry, I've just added some metal clips just to add a little bit of weight to the page, just to stop it from flicking up. So it's just holding that down a little bit. I've brought in one of my stencils. This is the Arabesque stencil. I've got now the lemon paint. So I'm going to mix a little bit of that lemon on my work surface. I'm also just going to add a little bit of white because I don't want it that bright. I want it a little paler than that. So I'll just grab my brush. I've just got a little bit of water on it, not a huge amount, and I'm just going to mix in the yellow and the white. Just get a little pale colour and leave it at that. Then I'm going to bring in a craft sponge that I've just cut up and just pick up some of that paint, and I'm going to start adding in a little bit of that detail with the stencil, just up in the corners or up over on this side, and I'm just lightly dabbing. And I'm just working it in very lightly. And then I'm going to do the same down here in this corner. Just take the brush again, get the white, mix in with a little bit of yellow, just lighten up that yellow a tad, get the sponge, pick up the paint, and then just start working it in, just dabbing lightly. A little bit darker. And then I'm going to do just a little bit more just in the centre, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that darker yellow and then just kind of work it around the middle. that should do. So I've got a kind of almost a diagonal going across the page. So I'll put that stencil to one side. I'm going to leave that yellow where it is and bring out a tiny bit of the orange, and then add some more white. And I'm just going to create a little bit of a paint palette on my worktop. A little bit of water, not a lot. Get the white, get the yellow, then just pick up a tiny bit of the orange. Well, if it's a bit too dark, add in a bit more white. There. I think that's just about where I want it to be. So this time grab another craft sponge, pick up the paint, and this time I've brought in another one of my stencils. This one's called Floristrella, which means starflower, and I'm going to just add a little bit of that. Just layered over, so I need a bit more. So a bit more orange, a bit more yellow, a bit more. There we go. Just make it a little bit darker, I think. I think we're getting there. I think I've picked up a little bit too much of that orange. Let's just work it in. So we've got two nice little patterns kind of working together. So let's get some more of that white. And let's see if we can mix in that yellow we've got there, the white, a tiny bit of the orange just to kind of get that peachy colour that we want. There we go. That should do nicely. So grab that sponge, work it in, and then we'll go again, add a little bit just here, fill in the gaps on that pattern. I think these two patterns work really well together. And then I'm going to add a little bit more just up here. And then just a tad towards the top here. Nice and fresh. Nice and fresh and bright, which is just what we want. Alright, so let's dump that brush back in the water and let's lift up the remainder of that paint. And I could do just a piece of kitchen roll just to dry that off. There we go. And I'll just give that a quick blast just to get it all dry. Okay, so that's pretty much dry now, so I'm just going to pop that to one side and bring those birdies back in. So I've already separated the main plies. I've got a water brush here with a little bit of water in it, so I'm just going to wet the tip and then I'm going to see if I can just separate the birds without going too close. I think that should do it, I think. Just be really careful. Where I've wet the tissue, it should just separate, leaving a nice kind of feathered edge. which should work really well. There we go. So that's the first one. So now do the same thing at this side. And then just remove those bits. If you're really, really careful, you can get quite close to where you want to be. Almost touching little birds themselves. There we go. So that should kind of tear in there. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of that out of the way. That's it. So we've now got those two kind of areas of birdies. Keep those two bits with those flowers on there, because we might use those just as little highlights later on. Maybe. I'll keep them just in case. I'm not too fussed if I don't get around to actually using them, but it may be nice just to add them as a little bit of extra decoration if we need to balance anything. There we go. So that's one. And that's the other. So we can now get rid of the rest of those bits of tissue. Don't really need those now. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start gluing on our bits. So I've got some matte medium. Just give it a shake up. Hopefully it's not filled in. The nozzles on these have a nasty tendency to fill in. Just let me grab a pokey tool. Because it's an easy job just to get it out if they have. There you go. It forms a kind of seal. So we should be just about ready to go now. So add a little bit onto the mat. And then I want a smaller brush. There we go. So we'll start off with the one on this side of the page. So let's just move that clip up out of the way. And then take a little bit of the glue. And just see where we're going to go. Yeah. That should just hold it down there. So paint the page, and then we can just very, very gently lay it down, just tap it on, and then working from the inside out, a little bit more of the glue. Very, very gentle brush strokes, because I don't want to rip it. And you can see just there where the paint underneath is just starting to show through. So just really delicate. Okay, so that's the first one done. So we can do the same thing again for that second one. So again, in this space up here, add the glue, take the birdies, and then just very, very gently lay it down. gently brush it in and let that glue just grab hold. There we go. So I'll put a bit more down on the mat, and then I can just gently start using outward brush strokes just to seal the napkin down. Okay, as soon as we've got those other two little roses, let's add them as little accents just underneath. One over here, just really gentle. And then the other one we'll just add at the top up here. Just to kind of balance it out. Okay, so we just need to clear that out of the way, because otherwise I will put my elbow in it. Get it dried off, and then when it's dry we can carry on. Okay, so those bits of napkin are glued down quite nicely, and I am kind of conscious that you can see a darker colour around where I've stuck them down, so it's time to start softening those out a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of white paint, and I've got a sponge. I'm only going to take a little bit, and I'm just going to start breaking those edges up around where we've stuck them down, just to kind of soften it a little bit, just using that white. You see how it's just started to diffuse the edges. Get a little bit more of the white, just pick little bits up at a time. And just start working it in. So don't worry if you're going with the white over where you've already been, as in with the yellow. Adding the white is just going to soften everywhere you've gone. And you could go in with a white brush and paint round if you wanted to, but I kind of like the softness of the sponge because it kind of just diffuses and, if you pardon the expression, feathers around the edges. And then move on to that bit up top. Love the way how it softens it. Well, it doesn't totally disappear. It just helps it disappear into the background. And white, of course, is a really, really good base for building up other colours over. I mean, look at the way it's just now started to kind of blend in a little bit better. Let's get rid of that clip. Okay, so we've got a nice kind of diffused bit of white going around those edges there, so you can come in now with the rest of your white if you want and just start adding in some kind of misty bits where your colours may be a little bit too strong. Just to add that kind of wispiness. Maybe a little bit down here. Almost like a cloud-like feel. Okay, so let's get that dried off. Okay, so that white paint has kind of dried a little bit now. So what I want to do is just to add in a little bit of darker detail into the page. So to do that, I'm going to bring in this mini collector's edition French script stamp from Indigo Blue. It's only a little tiny one. I have made sure that I've indicated which is the up and which is the down. Now, because we've got darker patches with the branch and the birds there, I need to add a little bit of balance outside of the page. So just using my Tim Holtz Distress Archival ink in Vintage Photo, which is, it's pretty much dried now this. I'm just going to go in and just add in a little bit of text. And I'm not using an acrylic block because I don't want a perfect impression. I just want an uneven impression of where the script is going to go. Just straddle it across the page. Add a little bit there. Maybe just a tad more there, just to continue that on. It's fairly illegible script, so you can't really read what it's saying, which is perfect. So you can just add the script wherever you feel that it needs it. So I think maybe a bit more in there, and maybe some there, and then maybe a little bit more underneath the bird there, just inside there, a little bit just there, maybe there. You can go to town, do it as much as you want really. Because it's uneven, it kind of looks like it's all worn away. I like it a lot. It's still kind of fresh, it's still bright, it's still fresh, but it's still got that kind of shabby chic kind of vintage feel to it. So just to kind of finish it off, I'm going to add some, let's see if I can find my blending tool, a little bit of a darker border around it. So let's just bring that in. And then just really gently, just kind of give it a little bit of a distressed edge. Not going too strong. Just kind of want to dirty it a little bit. I'm hoping that the camera's going to pick that up and it's not too subtle. Right in the edge. Because the vintage photo is, it's not too much, it's not like a real deep dark brown like the ground espresso is. It is kind of a, let's just say a warm brown, it's like an orangey brown. It kind of fits in nicely with the kind of peachy tones that we've kind of used. That should do. Yeah, I like that. So we just need to add a little bit of text on there now, I think, just to kind of finish the page off. I'm liking those colours. Very subtle, fresh, but nice. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to do something which I haven't done for absolutely ages. I'm actually going to stamp on the page with words. So I've got my Tim Holt worn text stamp set, which I kind of decanted into this little drawer in one of my units ages ago because I was fed up of losing bits. Because they are small, they are fiddly, so this is where I keep them all. So I know exactly where they are. So I've put the word, or I did put the word spring on the block using a little bit of adhesive, but it's obviously not stuck very well, so I actually just stick them back down again. The problem with these little stamps is that they do tend to lose the cling from the cling, if you know what I mean. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's experienced that. Let's just push those down. Yeah, I think they're going to hold just enough for me to actually stamp with. I've got my stays on. I finally found it. It went missing for a while. So I'm going to ink it up. Hopefully they will stay in place and not drop down. So I'm going to stamp the word spring just there. I don't mind if it catches a little bit. There we go. Ha 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 ha. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the word fresh. Hopefully that's going to stay exactly where it is. Just push those down. Ink them up. Knew you were going to do that. No, 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 stay. No, I'm going to have to, yeah, that might work. If we do it like that. The problems with stamping, then I'm going to put the word fresh in there. There we go. Trials and tribulations of rubber stamping, eh? So there you go. So we've got, let's have a look. So we've got the colours sky, lemon and peach. Ta-da! Spring has sprung, so it's a nice spring page. And I've got the word fresh. And I've got birds in there as well. So I think we can tick off the majority. So we've got sky, lemon and peach. We've got birds and we've got the word fresh in there, and it definitely is a spring fresh page. So all I have to do now is just quickly sign it. What date is it today? 7th, isn't it? So we'll go 7 320. And I still haven't worked out how I'm going to attach these into, because they're too big. I may have to reprint them all just a little bit smaller and actually stick them to the inside of the page. But there you go. There's my mission inspiration spring page for the month of March for 2020. And the mid-month mini mission inspiration is going to be in a fortnight's time on March the 21st. But that's down to Linda this month. I'm doing the main, she's doing the mini. And I am hoping we're getting a really interesting letter. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. And don't forget, if you want to join in with us on the Mission Inspiration Facebook group, all you have to do is to follow the link on the screen, but there will be a clickable link in the description area below. And just ask to join, answer the few questions that there are, just to make sure you're a real person and not a robot. And then you're in, and you can join us and the other 4,000 plus people who take part in these challenges every month. So that's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.